And what we find is that the more and more the layers continue to build, the more distant the relationship becomes. Because one person has their guard up. One person has has swallowed so much, feels suppressed so much. They usually have nothing to offer. And you find that when you have a relationship, how you know you have resentment is that you find the person is always complaining about the same thing over and over again. Because what resentment does is it makes you relive a situation over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what happens, you can just feel the pain of it. And you talk about it all the time. If your spouse has resentment, you find yourself that they're arguing with you about the same thing. It doesn't matter when you bring this topic up, it gets heated. That lets you know that there's resentment existing. There is resentment somewhere. You find that your spouse is withholding love. And there's resentment. And a lot of times resentment shows up in the bed. When your spouse is not able to be physically close to you, is not willing to open up to you. When it's time to be intimate, this person is not interested. Not interested. You find that you might have a spouse who's not vulnerable with you at all. They're there, they show up, they'll do everything, but there's a depth to that person you don't have access to. The person will not open themselves up to you. They're very closed off. And this is not just women, this is men too. They're very closed off. They're showing up, they're doing all the things, but you can tell there's a distance between you and your spouse. Because the spouse has somehow, has reconciled within themselves whatever this resentment is, and how they're responding is letting you know that there's resentment there. Sometimes the person is not interested. You find that it doesn't matter what, they're just not interested in what you're talking about. They're not interested in what you're doing.
They're stonewall.
They're just stonewalling. If you all remember, we talked about the 4 horsemen, where there's stonewalling, there's contempt, the way they talk to you. It's and we'll talk more about that. But you find your spouse, they're going through the motions, and a lot of men do this. They'll say, oh, if my wife is happy, I'm happy. Oh, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. Those are the ones that carry resentment the most.
They do, baby.
They do. They do. Because their needs may not be getting tended to.
Yeah.
And they know that they can't get it from you, so they've resolved it within